There was a factory that didn't appear on any maps. A steel and concrete structure built not to be seen, but to conceal the birth of something that should never be heard. Its name was never spoken publicly. The men who worked there knew only one thing. They were creating the first shadow fleet of World War II. Inside that secret shipyard, far from the German gaze, beyond Japanese reach, an invisible colossus began to take shape. The Tambor-Class Submarine, the first American long-range submarine that would take the war into the Pacific. And it all began with an almost imperceptible sound. Bam, bam, bam. The echo of rivets building the backbone of a predator. The shipyard's steel door opens. Light enters like a sharp blade, cutting through dust and metallic particles. Inside, workers watch the skeleton of the Tambor-class's gigantic hull stretch along rails, almost like a mechanical whale resting before awakening. It wasn't just big, it was obscure, a mixture of technology and paranoia. Monstrous dimensions. 93 meters long. 1,500 tons of compressed steel. Diesel-electric engines that roared on the surface and whispered at the bottom of the ocean. Cramped compartments, hot pipes, valves that looked like organs. 6 torpedo tubes, like prey awaiting the first blood. Each piece was crafted with surgical precision, as if the ocean were a relentless judge ready to destroy any human error. The entire shipyard resembled a mechanical church dedicated to a creature that didn't yet exist, but already inspired fear. The factory wasn't just a workplace. It was a military secret masked by false supply routes and camouflaged documents. The government needed silence. The Tambor-class would be the initial tip of American submarine warfare. Inside the shipyard, the atmosphere seemed divided between obsession and reverence. Men worked 16 hours a day. The air smelled of thick oil, hot welding, marine paint, and sweat. Shouts of command mingled with the sound of metal being shaped. The constant noise of the cranes made the ground tremble. Maps, blueprints, and calculations remained scattered on drawing boards. The walls bore phrases scribbled by exhausted workers. No mistake can be corrected underwater. This hull carries lives. With each test session, the tension increased. A submarine, they say, is a vessel that tries to kill its own crew, and they must fight to survive. The Tambor-class wasn't built, it was forged. Steel plates bent by force. Arches welded with microscopic precision. Compartments that resembled claustrophobic labyrinths. The engine room, enormous, vibrant, hot. The torpedo room, cold, silent, deadly. The most dangerous ritual. The moment the hull was sealed. When the workers placed the last plate and it was welded, they knew that from then on, every inch of that steel would have to be perfect, or a future sailor would never see the light of day again. The tension was so great that some workers held their breath during the final welding, as if the submarine were already alive and could feel it. Chapter 4. The First Awakening. Everything changes the day the drum class breathes for the first time. The diesel engines roar inside the factory, making walls, windows, and tools vibrate. It's as if an animal is trying to break free from its tethers before diving. The lights flicker. The workers move away. The vibration ripples through the floor like a metallic earthquake. And then, absolute silence. The electric motors kick in. The sound fades. The monster becomes tame. That's when everyone understands. The beauty of the Tambor-class wasn't in its roar, but in its ability to disappear. The day of the christening arrives. The entire shipyard gathers. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. The black hull rests on inclined rails. A bottle is broken at the bow. Sirens announce the moment. And then, the Tambor-class glides, majestic, brutal, precise. The steel touches the water. And for the first time, the ocean feels the weight of what is about to happen to it. As the submarine slowly disappears beneath the surface, the workers realize. They didn't just build a ship. They created a living weapon. A ghost of the Pacific. The sea becomes a new shipyard, now infinite, unpredictable. Inside the claustrophobic drum-class submarine, the temperature changes drastically. The air is thick and hot. Each man sleeps next to torpedoes or engines. Pipes vibrate with pressure. Water pounds against the hull like fists trying to get in. The absolute silence is almost unbearable. The submarine was built for this, but the men weren't. The commander observes the sonar. Lines, shadows, echoes. And then, first contact. A Japanese ship. The orders are short, almost whispered. Submerge. Torpedo. Ready. Maintain absolute silence. No one breathes. The drum class, for the first time, fulfills its function. To become invisible before attacking. The shot echoes like the heart of a titan. The torpedo launches. Seconds stretch like hours. Explosion. The hull vibrates. The ocean trembles. The drum class has officially become the first predator of the shadows of the Pacific. The return to base is silent. Exhausted men descend through the hatch. The submarine is covered in marks of the ocean. Salt, wear, metallic scars. The engineers wait. They inspect every valve, every pipe, every weld, like doctors examining a war patient. The drum class was not just a machine. It was a symbol. The beginning of a fleet that would change the course of U.S. submarine warfare. The factory celebrates in silence. Because they couldn't reveal anything. Because other units were already being built. Because the war was only beginning. And because, deep down, everyone knew. The shadows of the Pacific had just gained their first legion. The secret shipyard, now abandoned, echoes with ghosts of hammers and voices. The walls hold memories of men who built monsters that saved lives, destroying others. The drum class remains proof that silence, when mastered, can win entire battles. The first shadow of American submarine warfare. The first hidden blade beneath the waves. The beginning of the invisible fleet.